Welcome, everyone. This is Mike from ZozoStockwatch.com, and this is your Let's Get Ready for the Week Ahead, March 26th through March 30th. Tariffs, trade war, Trump, turmoil in the Trump cabinet leads to uncertainty. Facebook vulnerability causes concerns within other tech names, misuse of Facebook data. Dow and S&P both had their worst weeks in over 2 years. It wasn't just a US sell-off, it was a global sell-off as markets in Asia and Europe also came down. The markets reversed late day on Friday, and the markets never recovered Friday as they moved down into the close. The sell-off started at around 2 p.m. on Friday and started to accelerate to the downside. Global economies were gathering momentum, but with the tariffs heating up, will the slowdown be coming? Stock market accelerates Friday into the close on these worries, and it does not bode well for Monday and next week. There's no easy resolution to the issues and headlines that are out there right now. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what was happening in the markets. We'll go through some of the markets, the SPY, the Dow, the QQQs, and also we'll look at some of the weekly chart action on those indices. SPY action here on Friday as we open to the upside on Friday as the opening candle pushed us up towards resistance, that 265 area on the intraday chart here that I'm showing you. And then we slowly just kind of just chopped around till about 11:05 Eastern time on Friday. And then we get a dip there. All right, at around 11:05. You see on my chart here, 5-minute pre-post market chart, extended hours chart. We were holding above the VWAP, right, the green line you see here, and then slowly we start to drift down at around 11 o'clock. Well, as we get down to about 12 o'clock, about an hour later, we do get some buying in the markets here, and the market pushes back up till about 1:55 Eastern time on Friday. And then at 2 o'clock, a sell program came in and hit the market and moved it down into the lows. And that's where we kind of closed on Friday, around that 258 area on the SPY. Let's go ahead and take a look at it on the daily chart and see where we're at. We are now coming down to test the 200 SMA here on the SPY. Now in February we had a low of 252.92. That was on February 9th. All right, and that's when we came down to the 200 SMA. Now, most technicians are saying that we're going to have to come back down and test these lows. And by the looks of this candle and the action lately, it looks like that might be something that's going to happen. All right, so the markets just do not like this uncertainty with what's going on with the tariffs and the Trump administration. So it's looking kind of bleak right now for the bulls, as the bears did break us down below the 50 SMA and are taking charge and pushing this market down. Now that's not to say that the market hasn't come from a long distance and isn't still in a good trend, but you'd have to admit here that we are definitely getting some chinks in the armor. As you can see here, the 10 SMA, which we were or had been holding up above, now we are definitely below that on the SPY and the S&P 500. Let's go back to the daily chart. When we broke this 50 SMA, the blue line you see here on the daily chart of the SPY, you see that the selling started to accelerate here. Let's go ahead and look at the QQQ. All right, and that's also down below the 50 SMA, but not quite near the 200 SMA like the SPY just was. We did have a low here in February on that 9th, on that Friday, and so it looks like we may be headed down to test that again. And we also broke the 100 SMA here on the QQQ. Let's look at the Dow Jones 30, the Dow Jones Industrials. and you see we're going to be doing a test here of the 200 SMA. So you have to think that the selling is going to continue on Monday. There was really no resolution to the tariff talk that was coming out all week from the Trump administration, and China also, what are they going to do about the tariffs? How are they going to retaliate? So all that headline news once again is giving uncertainty to the markets. Let's go ahead and check the IBB. Moving down, broke down below the 200 SMA. We had bounced back here when we got back above the 200 SMA. We bounced here around the 200 SMA on the IBB, but now we are definitely well below the 200 SMA on that. If we look at it on the weekly chart, we're below the 10 SMA here on the daily chart for the IBB. The XBI also moving down below the 10 SMA, and now sitting right on the 20 SMA on the weekly. Let's look at the daily for that for the XBI. This is the mid cap of biotechs. Now we do have a chance maybe to bounce off the 100 SMA, but if this selling heats up, you'd have to think we're going to check and test this 200 SMA here on the XBI. So not a pretty close for any of the indices. One sector that was strong was the oil sector. Oil sector above its 50 SMA. USO is the ETF for the WTI. That was up for the week, almost 6% for the week. If we look at oil itself, light sweet crude oil. All right, you see that we had a nice breakout move here out of this consolidation, nicely up above the 50 SMA, but there were not many bright spots as far as sectors go with the markets this week, and oil was a standout sector. We'll get more into that in the best stocks for the week. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other areas, sectors of the market. XLF, even the banks rolling over. XLF is the financial ETF, and that coming down maybe possibly to test and break the 200 SMA. KRE, the regional banks, also moving down hard on Friday and previous days, maybe a possible test of the 200 SMA here on the regional banking index. Let's go ahead and take a look at silver and gold. Silver still cannot get above $16 for SLV silver, but gold had a decent week, up almost 3% for the week, back above the 50 SMA for the GLD. Holding above, the 200 moving average. We do still have that 129 area on gold to get through. Let's look at it on the weekly chart. Yeah, you can see it much better here. We have that 129 area of resistance up ahead, but back above the 10 SMA on the weekly chart for GLD gold. If we look at USO, back to that real fast, just wanted to show you we are nicely above the 10 SMA now for oil, and a nice move up. Coming up to resistance here on the USO. We had a recent high back here of $13.30. And we are at currently $13.30. The close was at $13.28 for the USO. XOIL, we'll take a look at that on the weekly chart. Nice, like we said, breakout here. Has been holding the 20 SMA and moving up. Previous high oil per barrel was $66.66. We closed 65.88, so we do have a resistance point up there at 66 and change, so per barrel. So we'll keep an eye on that for oil. All right. Next up, let's take a look at a couple of other sectors. We won't belabor it too much because they all pretty much look the same. The VIX moved up sharply this week, as you can imagine, with the volatility coming in. VIX up 57% for the week. Back over that 20 spot on the VIX here, and pushing up to 2487, 25 area spot on the VIX. So volatility coming back into the markets as the uncertainty continues in the markets. Let's look at a couple of other sectors down below the 10 SMA on the SMH. On the SMH on the daily, we're right up coming up to the 100 SMA, which is the white line there. It's at 103.46. So that's going to be a test that's probably going to be coming up next week, if not Monday, for the SMH. All right, so IYT well below the 50 SMA, possibly coming up for another 200 SMA test on the daily chart here on the IYT. Jets, the airline sector, had been holding up and now broke below the 50 SMA for the airline sectors, now breaking down below the 100 SMA also, and that $32 area for JETS. Turn the corner. GDX, the gold miners, starting to turn back up. And then GDXJ, the junior gold miners, also back above the 50 SMA. So gold getting some buying here as the GLD was up on Friday with the markets moving down. Your inverses that moved up. The S-Dow, all right, nice move up here by S-Dow. This is an inverse when the Dow Jones moves down. These inverses move up. Another one is the SPXU, making a nice move up. SPXU, SPY moving down. SPXU moving up. TZA, another inverse. This one for the IWM. As the IWM moves down, these inverses, TZA, will move up. And then, of course, you had the volatility indexes moving up. You had TIVX turning the corner here, still below the 200 SMA, but you see the big volume coming into TIVX and UVXY, another volatility intraday play pushing up here, but still below the 200 SMA, but huge volume coming into the UVXY. All right, let's go ahead and look at the IWM. As you can see, it's pretty similar to all the other charts. Now we had held the 150 SMA, the orange dotted line you see here. We're coming down to test that again, and if we gap down on Monday, are we going to gap down all the way to this 200 SMA here on the daily for the IWM? That's the small cap 2000, and then we have the IWC, which is the micro cap. Not as much damage to it as the IWM. We're right here at the 100 SMA, but we are below the 50 and all the fast moving averages here on the IWC, the micro cap names. And so that, all markets took a hit. Now we're right at the 100 now. You have to think, maybe are we going to test this 150 SMA? If that breaks, then maybe we might be testing the 200 SMA on the IWC. So let's go ahead and look at some of the articles that came out this week, some of the news. Trump hits China with tariffs, heightening concerns of global trade war. We also had Dow Jones loses over 400 points as stocks sink on trade war fears. So this is what's hitting the markets now. And then as far as Facebook goes, we had Bloomberg Business Week putting out this ad and picture you see here, cover, delete my account. And so Elon Musk, has removed Tesla and SpaceX's Facebook pages after Twitter challenge. So he's removed his Facebook pages. And so now, is this going to start the momentum for people to start deleting their Facebook accounts and advertisers maybe pulling out from Facebook? So the uncertainty there continues around there for Facebook. For many Facebook users, a last straw that led them to quit. So an article out here by the New York Times on Facebook. So Facebook may have some more downside to it with all these articles coming out. And don't forget, Mark Zuckerberg has to go before Congress and go to Washington. So, still a lot of news to come out on Facebook and the repercussions from the data, the misuse of data there with Facebook. All right, let's go ahead and get into our best stocks for the week. And the first one up here for our best stocks for the week is MULE, as they were taken out by Salesforce. So MULE having a nice pop this week on that takeover, up 30%. ARQL having a nice week, up 19%. CDNA also a strong week, up 30% for the week. ARNA had a nice pop, up 33% for the week. ARNA was up because of phase two. Their Oasis trial met primary and secondary endpoints for ARENA, ARNA. So they had a good week because their Oasis trial met primary and secondary endpoints. HRTX met key primary and secondary endpoints in their phase 3 data, and that was up 31% for the week. OMER got approved drug, received a 2-year extension from the Appropriations Act by Congress and higher reimbursement rate, and that pushed that stock up 27% for the week. AKAO got FDA advisory committee to meet to discuss its new drug. All right, and that stock, AKAO, was up 12% for the week. Some other stocks that were up, AU was up this week about 8%. That's a silver and gold stock, so that stock moving up 8% this week. PAAS, another silver name, basic materials sector, was up about 6% for the week. GG, a gold name, was up 4% for the week. GLD itself up about 2% for the week. WPM, Wheaton Precious Metals. Now, this had earnings the past week. That stock was up 3% for the week. Some oil names that had a very nice week. ConocoPhillips up 5%. APC had a nice week, up 5% for the week. The ETF for oil was up about 6% for the week. Some solar names were moving up this week. We had SPWR up 7% for the week. Run, a nice week there, up 10% on Sunrun. CSIQ had earnings this past week, was up 10% for the week. A couple of other oil names that were up. MRO up 4%. NBR had a pop this week of 5%. RIG up 3% for the week. OMEX had an outstanding week, up 136% on OMEX. Odyssey Marine, a small, obscure name, wasn't doing much, and up 136% for the week on OMEX. INNT up 61% for the week. LFIN also popping 41% for the week. NFEC, a smaller name, up 58% for the week. DSS, a nice move up this week, up 34%. Gurn having an outstanding week, up 67%. Cali, a Chinese auto logistics company, moved up 48% for the week. And then we had Guess moving up this week. They had earnings come out, and their stock was up 37% for the week on GES. So that's some of your best stocks for the week, and now some of your worst stocks for the week. As you can imagine, it was not a very good week for Facebook. That stock down 14% for the week on Facebook as the data misuse and scandal hit Facebook this week. We had U.S. Steel moving down 15%. Most of the steels moving down 11% on Nucor, and then AKS, another steel name, down 14% for the week. ORCL, which had earnings Monday, never could recover, dropped down 14% for the week on Oracle. GIS, General Mills earnings came out Friday. This stock dropped 12% for the week on General Mills. Next up, we had Amgen taking a hit this week, down 10% for the week. WDC, which was climbing, pushing down here, 13%. GME, GameStop down 12% for the week. Twitter, TWTR, in sympathy to Facebook, down 13% for the week. GSM, a big move down, 31% for the week on GSM. Wayfair down 14% from its peaks there. ALDR, the CEO stepping down on ALDR, down 20%. ANY, they had earnings this week, stock down 43% this week. AbbVie, disappointing data in their phase 2, all right, disappointing data for AbbVie in its phase 2, dropped that stock down 14%. PTI had a negative report from Caresdale Capital, and also they did a public offering, and that dropped that stock down 31%. PGNX, their PDUFA date was extended by 3 months to July 30th for PGNX. So this stock dropped 11% on that news. PLXP, after its earnings release and also new data was delayed. New drug data was delayed. So this stock dropped, PLXP dropped 19% on this name. And then PTLA, down after earnings release, and also a negative opinion from the EMA, the European Medicines Agency, dropped this stock down 12% for PTLA. So that's some of your stocks that were down for the week. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the information that came out Friday. This courtesy of the Trade Exchange. We had some top insider purchases after hours that came out. CHDN, NCMI, Tiffany, RLBT, CLCN. We had a direct purchase of over 900,000 shares there on CLCN. S3 and UEC filed Form S3. Let's see some late breaking news. Also, Cambridge Analytical headquarters raided amid Facebook data breach scandal. So the Facebook Cambridge offices being rated. So now for next week, we do have economic information coming out next week. We'll take a look at that courtesy of the Trade Exchange. On Monday, we have the Chicago Fed National Activity Index. We also have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Survey at 10:30. This is for Monday. And then as you can see in the red, we do get some Fed speak coming up on Monday and a few other spots on the week ahead. 12:30, William Dudley after the bell on 4th at 4:30 on Monday. We have Redbook coming out on Tuesday. S&P Case-Shiller housing prices, 10 o'clock Richmond Fed, 10 o'clock consumer confidence, Fed speak at 11 o'clock, 7 o'clock MBA mortgage activity coming out on Wednesday. Don't forget, market is closed on Friday. All right, it will be closed for Good Friday on Friday the 30th. So just want to make sure I say that. So we have a 4-day trading week this week coming up with the markets closed Friday. We also have some Fed speak coming up on Wednesday. We have the GDP at 8:30 on Wednesday. Also, we have on Thursday, we have 8:30 personal income and outlays. We have initial jobless claims. What else? Chicago PMI. So some pretty straightforward economics there. At 1 o'clock, we have the Baker Hughes rig count, which is usually on Friday, but since we're closed on Friday, the markets, that will be coming out on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Then the Nat Gas also comes out at 10:30, and we have some Fed speak at 1 o'clock. Okay, so just a heads up, markets are closed. 4-day trading week this week, market closed Friday. This courtesy of the Trade Exchange, built for traders by traders. Very good news service there for Trade Exchange. Let's go ahead and look at some earnings coming out this week. We do have some larger names coming out. We have Red Hat, RHT, symbol there, Paychex. We have Restoration Hardware, symbol there, RH. We also have Shoe Carnival, Sonic Restaurants, BlackBerry before the bell on Wednesday, symbol there BB, GameStop, GME, PVH, that's the one I was looking for. Lulu Athletics, LULU symbol there. So Red Hat after the bell on Monday. RH Restoration Hardware coming out. Lulu after the bell Tuesday. LULU. BlackBerry also before the bell on Wednesday. Was holding up better. But now that is breaking down below the 100 SMA. So, we have this 150 area SMA area to hold on to, and maybe the lows from February there. So we'll have to see. Would like to see, the Qs get back over the 100 SMA. This has been your Let's Get Ready for the Week Ahead. Hopefully you're more ready for the week ahead than you were before, and good trading out there. And watch video coming up, which is stocks to watch video. That'll be out on Sunday. Everybody have a pleasant evening.